First strike. The Kilari warship Eternal Dominion hung in the darkness of space like a predator waiting to strike. Its crystalline hull sparkled with the light of distant stars, each facet engineered to both intimidate and deflect enemy fire. Supreme Commander Vextar stood on the command deck, his iridescent scales shifting from deep purple to burning gold as he studied the holographic display of the human colony below. Primitive defenses, exactly as our scouts reported, he commented, his 4 eyes narrowing in contempt. These humans have barely mastered basic spaceflight. Their colony on Proxima b will make an excellent example to the rest of their species. His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Naira, clicked her mandibles in agreement. The settlement has fewer than 10,000 inhabitants, Supreme Commander. Their orbital platforms use basic kinetic weapons and chemical propellants. They won't last 5 minutes against our fleet. Vextar had conquered 17 species in his lifetime, adding their worlds to the ever-expanding Kilari Empire. Each victory reinforced the same fundamental truth. Advanced civilizations had a duty to guide, or subjugate, the lesser races. The humans, with their quaint rockets and radio communications, were clearly among the lesser. Begin the attack sequence, he ordered. Standard conquest protocol. Disable their communications, destroy their defensive platforms, and demand surrender. I want this finished before the next solar rotation. The Kilari battle fleet decloaked 50 ships of gleaming crystal and metal, each capable of reducing a continent to ash. Warning shots lanced out, destroying the primitive communication satellites orbiting the colony world. Vextar expected panic, perhaps some token resistance. What he got instead would reshape his understanding of the galaxy. The first sign that something was wrong came when their sensors detected an energy surge from the surface, not from the colony itself, but from what had appeared to be an uninhabited mountain range nearby. The mountain began to move. Supreme Commander. Naira's scales had turned pale blue, the color of alarm. That landmass, it's artificial. Some kind of camouflage system we've never seen before. Before Vextar could respond, the false mountain dissolved like mist, revealing a massive structure beneath. It wasn't some primitive human bunker or defense platform. It was a shipyard. And rising from it was something that could not, exist on a primitive world. The human vessel that emerged was unlike anything in the Kilari database, where their ships were crystalline and elegant. This was dark and angular, its hull covered in geometric patterns that seemed to drink in light itself. It carried no visible weapons, no obvious propulsion systems, yet it moved with impossible grace for its size. Incoming transmission, the communication officer reported, trying to keep the tremor from their voice. A human face appeared on the main display. The alien was older, with gray hair and eyes that seemed to cut through space itself. This is Admiral Helena Chen of the Earth Fleet ship Shadowblade. You are in violation of protected space and have committed an act of war against a human colony. You have 30 seconds to power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded, or we will respond with appropriate force. Vextar's scales rippled with rage. No primitive species had ever dared to demand his surrender. You dare threaten the Kilari Empire. Your single ship against my fleet. Fire all weapons. Show them the price of such insolence. The Kilari ships opened fire, their energy weapons powerful enough to shatter moons. The human vessel made no attempt to evade. Instead, the geometric patterns on its hull flared with soft blue light. The Kilari weapons simply vanished, absorbed into those impossible patterns without leaving a mark. Time's up, Admiral Chen said quietly. Remember, you chose this. The Shadowblade responded, but instead of energy weapons or projectiles, it released what looked like a cloud of metallic dust. Vextar almost laughed, until the dust cloud began to move with purpose, splitting into streams that targeted each Kilari ship. Some kind of primitive chemical weapon, he wondered aloud. Then his tactical officer screamed. It's eating through our hulls. Some kind of. It's converting our material into more of itself. Vextar watched in horror as the mysterious substance began dissolving his mighty fleet. Ships tried to flee, but the dust followed them, guided by an intelligence they couldn't comprehend. Within minutes, 50 ships of the mighty Kilari Empire had been reduced to expanding clouds of gray particles. Only the Eternal Dominion remained, surrounded by the remnants of its fleet. Admiral Chen's face reappeared on the screen. That was a demonstration of second-generation nanite technology. Your ships haven't been destroyed, merely reconstructed. We can reverse the process once we've concluded our business. Now, about that surrender. Vextar's scales had turned white, the color of total defeat. In all his years of conquest, he had never encountered anything like this. These humans hadn't just managed to resist. They had completely outclassed the Kilari's most advanced technology. How? He managed to ask. You barely have spacecraft. Your colonies use chemical rockets. Your technology is exactly what we wanted you to see, Chen replied with a small smile. Humanity learned long ago that appearing weak while being strong is far more advantageous than the reverse. Your empire isn't the first to make assumptions about us, Supreme Commander, but I suggest you be the first to learn from that mistake. As Vextar gave the surrender order, he realized that everything he thought he knew about the galaxy had just changed. The humans weren't primitive at all. They were simply patient, and he had just discovered why. The warning. The Grand Assembly of the Kilari Empire had never been so silent. 200 of the most powerful beings in known space sat in their crystalline amphitheater, watching the holographic replay of their fleet's defeat for the third time. Supreme Commander Vextar stood before them, his scales still white with shame as the recording showed his mighty ships dissolving into clouds of nanites. High Chancellor Ixal, her scales shimmering with barely contained rage, finally spoke. In 6,000 years of expansion, no species has ever humiliated us like this. She gestured at the frozen image of the human vessel. One ship. They sent one ship against 50 of ours. High Chancellor, Vextar's voice was steady despite his fear. What we witnessed wasn't just superior technology. The humans have been deliberately deceiving the entire galaxy. Their colonial ships, their primitive satellites, it was all theater. A new hologram appeared, showing sensor readings from the battle. Their stealth technology operates on principles we can't even detect, let alone understand. The geometric patterns on their hull seem to manipulate space-time itself. And the nanites. He paused, mandibles clicking nervously. They could have destroyed us. Instead, they chose to demonstrate their power while preserving our lives. A weakness, declared War Minister Krell, his scales flashing aggressive red. They lack the resolve to do what must be done. We should launch a full-scale assault before they can. The chamber's main display suddenly activated, cutting him off. Admiral Helena Chin's face appeared, looking exactly as calm as she had during the battle. Forgive the interruption, she said, as if she hadn't just breached the most secure communication system in the Empire. But I thought it best to correct some misconceptions before you make any unfortunate decisions. The assembled Kilari leaders stared in shock. Chancellor Ixal recovered first. How dare you intrude upon the same way we've been monitoring your empire for the past 50 years, Chen replied. Your crystalline technology is beautiful, but it has fundamental vulnerabilities. We could have exploited them at any time. We chose not to. She gestured, and new images appeared. Massive shipyards hidden in gas giants, fleets of advanced vessels cloaked in geometric patterns, orbital rings around distant worlds, all previously invisible to Kilari sensors. Humanity's apparent primitive state was a choice, not a reality. We've been watching how various species treat their less advanced neighbors. The Kilari Empire's pattern of conquest and subjugation made our decision rather easy. War Minister Krell slammed his fist down. Threats? You dare threaten the Empire. Not threats. Context. Chen's expression remained neutral. The nanites that disabled your fleet. That was civilian mining technology, repurposed for defense. Would you like to see our actual military capabilities? The display shifted again, showing a massive vessel emerging from what appeared to be a fold in space itself. Its hull was covered in the same geometric patterns as the Shadow Blade, but on a scale that made Vextar's crystalline spine vibrate with fear. The ship was larger than some moons, yet it moved with impossible grace. "This is the EFS Prometheus," Chen explained. "Our first true warship. We built it hoping we'd never need to use it. That decision remains yours." Chancellor Ixel's scales had shifted to a deep blue of contemplation. "Why reveal this now, if you've been watching us for so long? Because despite your empire's aggression, we've seen potential in your people, your art, your philosophy, your drive to explore and understand. We believe you're capable of choosing a better path." Chen leaned forward slightly. "Consider this an invitation to join something greater than conquest." "And if we refuse?" Krell demanded. "Then we'll continue to defend our space and our allies. But know this, what you saw at the colony wasn't a lucky victory or our greatest achievement. It was a gentle warning. Humanity spent centuries appearing weak while growing strong, because we understood something your empire hasn't yet grasped. True power lies not in domination, but in the wisdom to know when not to use it." The chamber erupted in argument as Chen's image faded. Chancellor Ixel raised her hand for silence, her scales shifting through colors as she processed this new reality. "Supreme Commander Vextar," she said finally, "you've faced these humans directly. What is your counsel?" Vextar's scales had finally begun to show hints of their normal purple. "They could have destroyed us, yet they chose to teach us. In all my years of conquest, I've never encountered such restraint, such power tempered by wisdom." He straightened his spine. "I believe we should listen." "To primitives?" Krell scoffed. "No," Vextar replied. "To a species that mastered themselves before trying to master others. Something we have yet to achieve." As the debate raged on, a small signal pulsed from deep within the crystalline walls of the chamber, undetectable to Kiluri sensors. In her office on Earth, Admiral Chen smiled slightly as the data flowed in. The seeds had been planted. Now they would see if the Kilari could grow beyond their past. The real test was just beginning. Turning point. The Kilari War Minister Krell stood in his private command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing fleet movements. His scales burned crimson with barely contained rage as he initiated a transmission to his secret battle fleet, hidden in the void between star systems. "The humans have made us weak," he snarled to the assembled commanders. "While the Chancellor wastes time with diplomatic discussions, our empire's reputation crumbles. Every minor species now questions our authority. Today, we restore our dominance." The plan was simple but ambitious. Simultaneous strikes against 3 human worlds with overwhelming force. 300 ships, the finest the Empire had hidden away, divided into battle groups. Not the 50 ships Vextar had lost. This would be an assault that would make history. Remember, Krell's scales pulsed with anticipation. Their technology may be advanced, but they're spread thin protecting their territories. They can't be everywhere at once. What Krell didn't know was that Dr. Sarah Martinez was watching his transmission from her laboratory deep within Mars. The young physicist smiled as she adjusted her neural interface, streams of data flowing through her consciousness from humanity's quantum observation network. "Right on schedule," she murmured, sending a thought command to her AI assistant. "Notify Admiral Chen. Operation Mirror is ready." Across human space, invisible preparations were already in motion. The Kilari ships emerged from their hiding places, weapons charged, ready to restore their empire's glory. They expected to find vulnerable colonies. Instead, they found emptiness. The human settlements on all 3 targeted worlds had vanished. "Impossible," Krell roared as the reports came in. "Their cities can't just disappear." "Actually, they can." Admiral Chen's voice filled every Kilari ship's command center simultaneously. We've been manipulating your sensor readings for months. Those colonies were evacuated weeks ago. But please, continue with your attack. We're curious to see how your crystal ships handle quantum phase displacement." Before Krell could respond, space itself seemed to ripple. Massive shapes emerged from what appeared to be tiers in reality. Not just the Prometheus, but an entire fleet of similar vessels. Their geometric patterned hulls seemed to bend light around them, making it impossible to determine their true size or number. "You see, War Minister," Chen continued, her voice carrying an edge of steel beneath its calm exterior. "While you were planning this attack, we were conducting an experiment. Your crystal technology has a fascinating property. It resonates with quantum fields in a very specific way. Dr. Martinez, would you care to demonstrate?" Sarah's voice joined the transmission. "The geometric patterns you've observed on our ships aren't just for show. They're quantum field manipulators. Your crystalline technology is beautiful, but it has one fundamental flaw. It exists in a fixed quantum state." As if to illustrate her point, the geometric patterns on the human ships began to pulse with soft blue light. The effect on the Kilari fleet was immediate and devastating. Their crystalline hulls began to vibrate, producing harmonic frequencies that spread from ship to ship. "Don't worry," Sarah added, almost cheerfully. "We're not destroying your ships. We're simply shifting them slightly out of phase with normal spacetime. Think of it as a timeout corner for overly aggressive empires." Krell watched in horror as his mighty fleet simply faded away, becoming translucent until they were barely visible. His own flagship remained solid, forced to watch as his forces were rendered literally out of touch with reality. "They're perfectly fine," Chen assured him. "They exist in a parallel quantum state. We can bring them back whenever you're ready to have a civilized discussion about the future of galactic relations." You planned this," Krell realized, his scales fading to pale blue. "You knew I would attack." "Of course we did. Humans have been studying psychology, including alien psychology, for centuries. Your response was statistically probable. That's why we let you detect just enough of our capabilities to make you afraid, but not enough to make you cautious." A new hologram appeared. Chancellor Ixel, her scales dark with fury. "War Minister Krell, you have violated direct orders and endangered the entire empire with your actions." "I was protecting our way of life," he protested. "No," Ixel replied coldly. "You were protecting your pride." "Admiral Chen, I believe this demonstrates the wisdom of your earlier proposal. The Kilari Empire formally requests membership in your Galactic Cooperative Initiative." Chen's image nodded. "Accepted. Dr. Martinez, please restore the fleet." The phantom ships slowly regained solidity, their crews shaken but unharmed. As Krell was taken into custody by his own security forces, he finally understood the true lesson humanity had been teaching. In a universe of infinite possibilities, the most powerful weapon wasn't technology. It was the wisdom to know how to use it. Sarah watched the quantum readings return to normal, her mind already racing with new possibilities. "You know," she said to Chen, "I think the Kilari are going to make excellent partners once they adjust. Their crystal tech combined with our quantum manipulation could revolutionize space travel." "That was always the goal," Chen replied. "Sometimes the best way to end a war is to make it unnecessary in the first place." As the human fleet prepared to escort their new allies home, the geometric patterns on their hulls pulsed once more, not in mourning this time, but in celebration of a victory achieved without destruction. The true power of humanity had never been in their weapons, but in their ability to imagine a better way forward. Hidden strength. In the heart of Jupiter's great red spot, where storms had raged for centuries, Dr. Marcus Zhang stood in Earth's most secure research facility, addressing a delegation of wide-eyed Kilari scientists. The sprawling complex, hidden within the massive storm system, represented just one of humanity's many secrets. "You ask how humans achieve such technological advancement while appearing primitive," Marcus began, his dark eyes twinkling. The answer lies in Earth's history. We learned long ago that species who display their power openly often become targets before they're ready. The facility's quantum displays activated, showing Earth's past conflicts. Our own wars taught us that appearing weak while being strong was far more advantageous than the reverse. So when we first detected alien civilizations, we made a conscious choice to hide our true capabilities. Chancellor Ixel, who had insisted on joining this first technical exchange, watched in fascination as holographic images showed the true extent of human technological development. Her scales shifted to deep purple, the color of profound realization. "Your primitive rockets," she began, "were a carefully maintained facade," Marcus confirmed. "While we launched chemical rockets for the galaxy to see, we were actually using quantum tunneling technology to establish bases throughout the solar system. The storms of Jupiter didn't just hide our facilities, they powered them." He led them to a massive window overlooking the facility's core. Below, massive structures pulsed with energy drawn directly from Jupiter's atmospheric dynamics. The geometric patterns that had become synonymous with human technology covered every surface, creating a hypnotic display of engineering artistry. "We called it Project Horizon," Marcus continued. "While other species focused on conquering space, we learned to work with it. The geometric patterns you've seen aren't just decoration. They're mathematical expressions of space-time itself, allowing us to manipulate quantum fields directly." A young Kilari scientist, Zara, stepped forward, her scales flickering with excitement. "But the energy requirements, even our most advanced calculations suggest it's impossible." Marcus smiled. "That's because you're thinking in terms of conventional physics. Here, let me show you something that might change your perspective." He led them to a sealed chamber where a small object floated in a containment field. It looked deceptively simple, a sphere covered in the same geometric patterns as human ships, but at a much smaller scale. "This is a quantum core," he explained. "It doesn't generate energy. It harmonizes with the underlying fabric of space-time, allowing us to tap into the quantum foam that exists in every point in space. Your crystalline technology actually gave us the final piece we needed to perfect it." Zared's scales turned bright gold with sudden understanding. "The resonance patterns in our crystal matrices." "Exactly. Your technology naturally interfaces with quantum fields, but in a fixed state. Combine that with our geometric field manipulation, and you can create stable quantum tunnels anywhere in space," Ixel finished, her scales now showing the deep blue of respect. "Your ships don't just hide from sensors. They exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously." The demonstration continued, revealing how humanity had developed in secret. Hidden cities beneath Earth's oceans, colonies phased just slightly out of normal space-time, and technology that worked with natural laws in ways the Kilari had never imagined. "But why show us this now?" another Kilari scientist asked. "Why trust us with these secrets?" Marcus's expression grew serious. "Because we've detected something coming, something that threatens all of us. Humanity didn't develop these technologies just to hide. We developed them because our long-range quantum sensors detected a disturbance in the fabric of space-time itself." He activated another display, showing readings that made the Kilari scientist's scales pale. "There's a reason we've been pushing for cooperation instead of conquest. Whatever's out there, it's like nothing we've ever seen. And we'll need every species' unique insights to face it." Chancellor Ixel studied the readings, her scales shifting through colors as she processed the implications. The cooperative initiative, it wasn't just about preventing war. "No," Marcus confirmed. "It's about survival. Your crystal technology, combined with our quantum manipulation, might be the key to understanding what we're facing. Other species have other pieces of the puzzle. Together, we might stand a chance." As the Kilari delegation absorbed this revelation, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. Marcus quickly accessed the quantum network, his expression growing grave. "It's happening sooner than we expected," he announced. "The disturbance, it's accelerating. We need to move faster." The geometric patterns throughout the facility pulsed with increasing intensity, as if responding to some unseen threat. The true test of humanity's hidden strength, and the wisdom of their long deception, was about to begin. New dawn. The quantum disturbance that humanity had long feared finally emerged at the edge of known space. It wasn't an invasion fleet or a weapon. It was something far more fundamental. A wave of altered space-time that turned physical laws inside out, leaving chaos in its wake. Admiral Chen stood on the Prometheus's bridge, watching as the geometric patterns across the ship's hull pulsed in harmony with the quantum cores. Around her, a combined fleet of human and Kilari vessels held position. Their ships may have looked different, sleek geometric patterns alongside crystalline structures, but they now moved as one force. The wave will reach populated space in 6 hours, Dr. Sarah Martinez reported, her neural interface streaming data directly from the Jupiter facility. Traditional shields, even our quantum field manipulations, won't be enough to stop it. Chancellor Ixel's hologram appeared on the bridge, her scales a determined gold. The crystal matrices are ready. Every ship in the combined fleet has been modified with Dr. Zhang's quantum core integration. What they were attempting had never been done before. Humanity's quantum manipulation technology, merged with Kilari crystal resonance, created on a scale that would affect space itself. It was either brilliant innovation or magnificent folly. Begin Phase 1, Chen ordered. The fleet moved into formation, geometric pattern ships alternating with crystalline vessels. As they activated their modified systems, energy began to flow between them, creating a lattice of quantum fields and crystal resonance that stretched across the star system. Phase 1 stable, Sarah reported. Crystal resonance is amplifying the quantum fields exponentially. We're ready for Phase 2. This was the moment of truth. Everything humanity had developed in secret, every technology they had hidden, had led to this point. The geometric patterns across the human ships began to shift, becoming more complex, more precise. The Kilari crystals responded, their natural frequencies adjusting to match. Energy wave approaching. Marcus Young's voice came through from Jupiter. Impact in 30 seconds. Chen watched the monitors as the wave of distorted spacetime approached their position. It was beautiful in its way, a cascade of reality itself, warping and twisting natural laws. This was why humanity had chosen to develop in secret, to prepare for threats that existed beyond conventional understanding. 10 seconds, Sarah counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The wave hit their quantum crystal lattice. For a moment, reality seemed to hold its breath. Then the geometric patterns on every human ship flared with impossible brightness, while the Kilari crystals sang in frequencies that shouldn't have existed in normal space. It's working, Sarah exclaimed. The lattice is redistributing the wave's energy through the quantum foam, while the crystal matrices are stabilizing local spacetime. They weren't just stopping the wave, they were healing the fabric of space itself. The combined technologies created a new kind of order, one that could withstand the fundamental chaos the wave represented. As the immediate crisis passed, Chen turned to address the combined fleet crews. What we've achieved today goes beyond saving our civilizations. We've proven that our differences, our unique approaches to understanding the universe, make us stronger together. Chancellor Ixel nodded, her scales now showing the deep purple of profound wisdom. The humans could have faced this alone. Their technology was advanced enough. But they chose to wait, to risk appearing weak, until they could bring all species together. Because some victories aren't about proving superiority, Chen replied. They're about proving that the universe is big enough for all of us to contribute something vital. In the days that followed, the true scope of humanity's foresight became clear. The quantum disturbance had been just the first of many cosmic phenomena that would challenge their understanding of reality. But now, instead of facing these challenges as competing species, they faced them as partners. The geometric patterns that had once hidden humanity's true nature became symbols of a new age, one where strength lay not in domination but in cooperation, where technology served understanding rather than conquest, and where appearing weak had ultimately created the strongest alliance the galaxy had ever known. In his lab beneath Jupiter's storms, Marcus Young modified the quantum core designs to incorporate even more insights from their alien allies. The patterns grew more complex, more beautiful, representing not just humanity's achievement, but the combined wisdom of multiple civilizations. "You know," Sarah said, watching the new designs take shape, "maybe this was the real test all along. Not whether we could develop the technology, but whether we could resist using it to dominate others. The hardest strength to develop," Chen agreed, "is the strength to wait, to plan, to bring others along with you rather than leaving them behind." As she spoke, the geometric patterns throughout human space pulsed once more, not in warning or defense, but in harmony with the crystals of their former adversaries. It was a new dawn for all species, proof that the greatest power wasn't in technology itself, but in the wisdom to share it. The end wasn't just a victory, it was a beginning.